Welcome to the Breakthrough to Your Best Success online event. Join your host, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino, and the contributors from the Success Guidebook and other special guests to visualize, actualize, and amplify you and your best success. This conference will help you redefine success, transform your goals, embrace change, design and realize your best life, and much more.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough to Your Best Success Conference. I'm Elizabeth, here with the one and only Mitch Gaylord, Olympian Mitch Gaylord. You're so awesome. Hi.
Hey, Elizabeth. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, everybody just loves you. I was telling you before we went on, everybody's like, I can't believe I get to be in a book with Mitch Gaylord. Well, I can't believe that I get to know you, talk to you, and have you in my book, and I'm so totally grateful for you.
Well, I'm honored to be in it, and I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book, everybody knows the book, the Success Guidebook, and Mitch is, I'm trying to turn to it, but I probably won't get to it, but you're chapter 9 in the book. And we talk all about amplifying success and things like that. But where I want to go with you first is visualization, because having known you for a little while now, and hi to Valentina, your wife, who's a budding Hay House author herself with a book coming out.
That's right. We're very excited.
We visualize these things. We get these dreams in our head and we can't let go of them until they happen. And I think Valentina's like that. And I know you're like that. Talk about kindergarten for me, because I know way back when I said, what do you do?
I know. I had some interesting visualization dreams that were reoccurring as a really young kid. And those dreams turned into what I eventually did, which was gymnastics, obviously. But the earliest dreams I ever had were of flying, and literally like Superman flying in the air. And it took place into kindergarten, because that's how old I was at the time, like 6 or 7 years old, 5, 6, 7, who knows. But I would have these dreams of me hovering above the school and then scooping down with the kids looking up in amazement that somebody was flying. And I would offer rides for the kids to take back up there with me. And I would put them on my shoulders, and we would take off and circle around the top of the school and come back down again. And it was this feeling of, being a superhero. And it just felt awesome to me. And that kind of translated into trying to replicate that feeling in real life. And it eventually was just running down the street as fast as I could and jumping over fences, small fences. And then it would be jumping off the roof with a cape around my neck, pretending I was Superman, landing on bed mattresses. My mom went crazy. And then eventually that really did happen. It drove her nuts. And she said, we got to get an outlet for this kid. And that turned into trampoline classes. And that's where I duplicated and replicated the feeling of flying. And that's when I knew I found my home. I knew I was meant to do that, because it felt so natural and comfortable. And I loved it. Bounced for hours.
Yeah, we're a baseball family, but I was the one in the outfield doing all the cartwheels all the time. Flipping around in the outfield, my dad would be like, oh my gosh.
Well, little known fact, I did Little League and I did football as a kid, but by the time I was 11 or 12, all the other kids were just getting way bigger than me. And I just knew I couldn't compete at those levels. And that's what kind of pushed me towards gymnastics also, was the one sport I could do, being so small at that time in my life.
Yeah, I am 5'2", 5'3", and a really big hair day, so that's kind of even tall for a gymnast girl.
Well, it's funny because I was the tallest guy on our team because I grew later in life. But at 16 years old, I was 5 feet tall and 90 pounds. That's on my driver's license. So I was a very late bloomer, late to mature, late to get strong. But then I shot up at 17 years old, and by the time I hit college, I was 5'7", 5'8". Now I'm 5'9.5".
Yeah, there you go. I know. I'm going the other way at 55. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to hold
I'm starting to go that way too.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to hold out, but we'll see. I can fluff up the hair a little more. Whatever. Anyway, so tell me about the Olympics. Like, how did you know? What was a moment where you're like, okay, I'm kind of good at this gymnastics stuff here. I can actually do this. Did somebody coach you?
It's funny. It goes in phases, because you think you're good in your local environment, but you never know if you're good until you start competing on a state level or on the national level. But I kind of started, I had talent. that was told to me by all the coaches. So I knew I had a natural ability in the sport, but what I lacked was fundamentals, basics, discipline in a huge way. It was kind of embarrassing because when I became a senior in high school, it was very apparent that that was my reputation. So people in Los Angeles thought I was the best gymnast ever because I won the LA City championships. But on a state level, like I didn't even get recruited to that many colleges because they thought, yeah, he's got a lot of fancy tricks, but he's got no fundamentals and he doesn't look good. Like I was sloppy. So they didn't think I was ever going to change. But I knew I had the ability. If I got focused and disciplined, I knew I had the ability to go pretty far with it, probably around 17, 18, right around there.
In the book, you tell the story of almost quitting, like really having.
Yeah.
We all have those moments. Have you ever had
Yes.
that moment?
Have ever what?
Have you ever had any more moments like that in life where you're just like, I gotta do something else?
Of course. I mean, it's a feeling that it's terrible when you're going through it. And in the book, I talk about, at the Junior Olympics, which was right after my high school LA City Championship win. And then I went to this national competition and I choked. And the whole story is in there. We don't need to go into it now. But yeah, terrible feeling. It's the worst feeling because, when you talk about visualization, I'm like in your mind's eye, what you see is yourself making the cut or being on the podium or winning. And then when it's so different in reality, it hurts bad. So I think it's the lessons that we learn from those disappointments and setbacks that mean everything. I think that's where all your character is built. I think you find your drive, your passion, your strength of will to overcome it. And so those lessons, while they're not very fun, they're very powerful is for personal development in any area of life. And even though I overcame that and stayed in the sport after that and things went great, there were still setbacks on the way to the Olympics that were equally as disappointing. But I think the recovery time is quicker because you learn quicker that that's the only way through it is just get back in there, learn from the mistakes and double down and try even harder. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I can feel people right now going, ask them about American Anthem, but you all have to wait a minute. I'm going to the Olympics with you for a minute first.
Yeah.
Talk about the Olympics and what that is like, what that's like standing on a podium with teammates and just that's a huge platform.
It is, and it's overwhelming. It's emotionally, I don't even know how to describe it because you feel a huge range of emotions while you're up there. And that is the dream come true. So that happened. And the fact that goosebumps, the fact that it did happen and it was, in front of millions and millions of people, it's an unbelievable feeling. It's surreal. It's euphoric. It's a time where you flash back in your head all the things that you overcame to get there. And then you're saying, stop that. I just want to celebrate and live in this moment right now. Present moment awareness is key, especially in those celebrations. But there's so many nerves that go into the competition prior to winning that it's a huge relief and release when it's over. So there's a lot of disbelief. I can't believe that just happened. When we won, it was historic for us. It had never happened before. So we were all looking at each other like, can you believe what we just did? And then right from Poly Pavilion at UCLA, we got into our cars. It was a police escort from Poly Pavilion to ABC Studios for live interviews on camera. And it was just unbelievable. We got that escort. People were cheering us on going down the street. And it was just a real fun time and a huge celebration.
Yeah. And how do you, it is going to be a strange question, but how do you then just go back home? Just
that's actually a really great question because I think that's the challenge. It's like, what do I do now? That just happened. And there was a bunch of things. I mean, we were going on tours. I got offered, you brought up American Anthem. I got offered a movie pretty quickly after that. And there's so many things that I never anticipated happening in life that were happening. Interviews, television shows, TV. I mean, offers of personal appearances, offers of hosting my own TV show and starring in a movie. So it's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. But when all of that dies down and you realize, okay, I'm not a gymnast anymore. The acting thing really didn't work out the way I had hoped it to work out. And so now what do I do? And that's when it really hit me, was about 3 years after the Olympics when I had a tough time. But we all do in life, and I ended up getting through that and moving forward. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
the short
perfect.
answer to your question.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because I think a lot of people right there go, okay, what do I do next? I know our son has experienced that after
Hmm.
college sports. I think it's a really cool topic. We don't have to go into it today, but maybe you'll come back and
Hmm.
talk to us about that at some point. And that doesn't have to be
Yeah.
everything personal about you, but just how to navigate people through that, because it's really hard,
All right.
especially like when you're around a team of 30 guys or 30 women
Yep.
or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden it stops and it doesn't continue, and you're like, oh well, I guess I gotta go get a job now. And people are like, well,
Right.
this
Yeah. No, it's a tough transition for especially for Olympians, because we really, for the most part, have that one moment. There's some Olympians that are unbelievable and get to go to 2 and 3 and 4 Olympics, if their bodies can withstand it. But in gymnastics, it's pretty rare you find gymnasts lasting more than 1 or 2 Olympics. So you do have to transition. You have to do something else and figure out, what am I going to do in life? A lot of people go into coaching. That never was something that excited me. I was the athlete. I loved doing it. And
yeah,
I felt like the way I learned was so innate. It was visual, it was feeling. So it was hard to be a good coach to express that to others. But yeah, it's a transition for anybody who's hit a high level in one thing and now it's over. You got to go do something
yeah.
else.
Now, has that changed as you've gotten older? Or you're like, okay, I'd
Um,
actually be an okay coach now, or whatever. Has that changed for you? Or are you still like, nah, I want.
I think I'm good on the mental side of things because I do it as a parent. I help my kids mentally, with what they're going through, and that's parenting is
That's a huge
coaching, right?
part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but me living in a gym 24/7 again, that's just not for me. I just didn't want to do that. That's all.
No,
I
no.
love the sport. I love all athletes, but when I'm watching it on TV, I'm feeling what they're feeling, and I could understand where they came from and how they got to those levels. So that's a really cool feeling.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot that goes into that. Okay, now we're going to American Anthem, everybody, because I remember just being like, "That is the coolest movie," and I'm a former gymnast, so I like
Yeah,
watch you. I, did they really put something between trees and everything, or is that like, was that
it's
real
real.
or fake? Or okay, I've
No,
always wanted
they
to know
really did it.
the answer. Is that real?
Yeah, to put a high bar in between 2 aspen trees and have it work correctly, which I was really impressed with the construction team, whoever put that together.
Yeah.
But doing it in the rain in really, really cold weather was not fun at all. So,
But I remember
yeah.
as a kid always wanting to be able to do, and I think I achieved it through watching you, which was unusual for women to be able to go around a bar like that.
Right.
I could do that. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this all day. It was fun,
Yeah.
and then flip
That's
off of it. I mean, that's so
the
much fun.
evolution of uneven parallel bars. Is it kind of in the late 80s, early 90s started morphing into more men's high bar. A lot of the moves and release moves. In fact, somebody did my trick, the Gaylord flip on there, and that blew me
Cool.
away because it's like, wow, very, very nice.
Is
Yeah.
that still a lot? Sometimes some of the older tricks are banned. I know, like I keep seeing a video of Olga Corbett circulating where she's doing
Right.
things that are banned now. Is your
Hmm.
Gaylord flip banned, or can people still do it all the time? Do it
No, people can do it. I mean, it's
if
very
they
rare that
can, right?
a trick, yeah,
No.
if they can. It's not easy. I think back in Olga's era, though, that was so far advanced for that time period that it tripped out everybody, and that's why they banned it. But now the level of difficulty in our sport is off the charts. I mean, things that I see now, we couldn't even have dreamed of back in the 80s, when we were in our prime. And they're
Yeah.
doing stuff now that just blows my mind. But I don't think they banned too many tricks now. There was one trick, the 1.5, 1 and 3 on floor, that people stopped doing because too many people were getting injured, and it was a bad injury because you roll out, you're supposed to duck your head, but if you don't, it could result in a very serious neck injury.
Yeah, that's
Happened to one of
gymnastics
my
for you.
teammates. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, anything
But
head, neck. I remember my mom, you're talking about your mom, like, oh, he's jumping off the roof again with his cape or whatever. My mom used to
right.
just be like, sit still, just because I would tumble
Yeah.
off of everything, or walk on my hands all over the place, or walk up the stairs, or
Yeah.
do, flip off the stairs, all sorts of fun stuff. So
I
I'm
think a
sure.
lot of kids that are gymnasts definitely were hyperactive as kids, and they had to put that energy somewhere. Fortunately, the sport required 3 and 4 and 5 hours a day of training to get to the high
Yeah.
level. So it was perfect for us guys.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to
Right.
ask you a couple of the questions I
Yeah.
have here. And we're going to keep you to probably about 20 minutes. Is that okay? Maybe 20, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
Just to
Whatever you need.
keep
That's
going?
all good.
Okay. So when we talk about success in the Success Guidebook, I'm hoping that people catch on that we're trying to define it and redefine it so that it fits for people individually, personally, and professionally.
Yeah.
How has your perspective and even like your pursuit of success changed throughout your life?
Yeah, that's a good one because it definitely evolves over the years. As a youth pursuing the Olympics, it's a different mentality than success now in life. And I don't even, what's the word, quantify it or qualify it the same way. It's different. It's a different framework. It's tunnel vision as a kid. I mean, when I was going for the Olympics, that's all I thought about each and every day. And there was only one definition for what success was, and that was to go to the Olympics. And for me, I defined it as winning a medal, any medal. So I I surpassed that. I won 4 medals. So that was like unbelievable success to me. But by the same token, the event I should have won, or what I was supposed to win, which was high bar, I didn't win because I made a mistake in the preliminaries. And that always stuck in my head as a failure, which is really
Mm,
weird because how could that guy feel like a failure after winning 4 medals? And now looking back, I agree with them. but
good.
but at the time, my God, that really sent me into a tailspin for a long time. So that thing of perfection, like if you're not perfect, then you're a failure. That was kind of my mindset, and that's terrible. That's not a good mindset to have. And I think as you mature and get older in life, you realize that that's not the definition of success that you should have. It should be a lot more encompassing of everything that surrounds the one thing that you're going for. Like how are you in your relationships? How are you with your health? How are you with being a parent? Like all those things to me define success. It's not so one dimensional anymore.
Yeah, which was the last question because I talk about comprehensive success a lot. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes people, and again, I could see that like with the Olympics, you're doing one thing maybe at the detriment of other things, perhaps, or whatever, neglecting other things. But
Mhm.
as we grow and do other things, how do you I keep using the word balance. I don't know if balance is quite the right word for it, but how do you do things comprehensively so that you don't have success in one area and then not on all these other fronts? Like you see sometimes
Well,
people pursue their career and then their health fails or whatever.
right, right. That's a great example right there because is that true success? Well, in one area it is, but not in the others. So, like I said, it's a fully encompassing thing. Now, I don't know if we've talked about this before because we've had an interview in the past,
Yeah.
um, but I definitely kind of went on a spiritual quest, after some of the disappointing things that occurred well after the Olympics. I was searching for being at peace. I was searching for being okay with not being in pursuit of an Olympic medal again. Like,
Yeah.
things that I didn't pan out the way that I wanted to. Like, even with American Anthem, even though people love it now and, it got a cult following, but at the box office, it didn't do that great. And so I didn't do other big movies after that. So that felt like a failure too. So I think everyone needs to go within. I mean, I shouldn't say everyone. If you're searching, all the
Everyone,
answers
let's
are
say
within
everyone.
you. If you don't
Everyone's
want to,
okay.
don't worry
Everybody.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to figure it out. I had to find some peace. I had to find contentment, and I found it through. I found it through yoga. I found it through working out again, through fitness, and I found it through reading some incredible spiritual books and meditation, and realizing that I'm okay just as a human being. I don't have to achieve greatness anymore, or whatever that term means, but I don't have to pursue an achievement or a goal that's so big and overwhelming unless I want to. But it
There you
doesn't define who I am as a person. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned is you're enough, just who you are, just a human being a good person in life and doing what makes you happy in life. It doesn't have to be so focused on external success anymore or accomplishments.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes hard to tone, I think anyway, hard to tone down ambition and competitiveness and that feeling of like, what am I going to do next and all this stuff, and kind of and rest peacefully with what you've done. I struggle with that a lot, actually, personally. Still, even at 55, I'm like always searching, and I had a really bad experience with one of my books where I'm like, that did not do what I thought it was going to do at all. And it was from my heart. I mean, I poured my heart onto the pages. It was about my dad having strokes and all these things. And I'm like, wow, that was not commercially successful, but it does have a cult following. And you wonder, okay, well, am I going to be an author again? What am I going to do? So I get all these feelings. But I think that remember your value, and that like your enoughness is such a really, I hope everybody heard you say that. You could say it about 10 times more if you want. You are enough. And it's hard. It's hard to, it's hard.
It is, especially if you were so competitive in your youth, and you did have success by being so competitive, you know?
That's what I mean.
You know, so that's all I know. But it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. I think there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and you know, striving for something that means something to you, but it shouldn't define you. Like Wayne Dyer is one of the guys I read a lot of stuff about, and to be attached to the outcome is where the problem is. Don't be attached to an outcome. Just love the process of what you're doing, and if that's what you're meant to do, like let the cards fall where they may, you know. And if there's lessons to learn in that, well, then go from that point to another place. But don't ever let it define you as a failure, or, you know, ruin your self-worth as an individual.
That's super important. Yeah. To like, I had tied a lot of my worth into like, okay, I'm an author now. And I'm like, okay, what's the outcome of this going to be? And I'm like, I need to revisit this a little bit and think here. And you're right. It's been so much more fun to be an author in the moment and the process and everything, and not worry about if it's going to sell or not sell. It makes it so much more fun, because then I get to do interviews like this and be like, okay, this is fun, actually. And you have fun with it. So, all right. Let me look down at my notes here for a minute. But I think we covered this, but I'll see if you want to go here a little bit more. But how's the notion of success guided you in making like business decisions or life decisions? I also want to ask you about, pick which one you want to answer. I want to ask you about, has success changed now that you're a parent? Because isn't it fun to pour our energy into our kids and help them be successful?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, even right now with Valentina and her book coming out, I'm going to be in a very supportive role for her on that. And that's going to give me just as much of joy and pleasure as if I was doing that. I'm just so happy for her that she's putting this out there. So I want to support it. And yes, you can do that through your kids too, but never live vicariously through the kids. The old little league mom is not a good thing.
No, it's not, is it?
Yeah, but support and encouraging and fostering and helping kids get through the stuff that you know they're going to go through is a wonderful role to be playing for them. And it's not so much about you, but you do get joy from it. But to answer that one question, like what do I do now when it comes to pursuing something? I don't have any fear whatsoever of failure, quote unquote failure. Like, in order to learn from the Olympic journey and what we already talked about, the ups and downs of that, and that you just need to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and move forward. It's like, oh yeah, you can get through all these things. Don't fear it. Don't fear it at all in anything that you want to do in life. If you're just willing to stay in the game and keep learning and moving, you're gonna do just fine. So I think that's one of the huge lessons I took away. But going back, because I wanted to say this before you asked that other question, I get asked all the time, you know, what was the greatest moment of the whole Olympic journey and the Olympic career? Standing on the podium at the Olympics? It's got to be. I'm like, yeah, but but that's one little moment. And when I look back at that whole journey from 11 years old on, it's the waking up each and every day feeling passionate and excited about what I'm doing that day. Like, if you've got that, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If you're waking up every day excited and passionate about what you're doing, I mean, come on, what can be better than that? And that's what I missed from those days, was being with the guys in the gym, cheering each other on, even on the tough days, but getting through it together and just putting in a really great day's work and something you love doing.
Yeah. Isn't that the cool thing about being married too? Because when you wake up one day and you're having a hard day and you're not excited and passionate about what you're doing, the other person is like, let's go be excited and passionate about what we're doing here.
Absolutely. Definitely.
I
I
think
mean,
that's so much fun because we've been married for 25 years now. And it's the coolest thing to have that dynamic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a partnership too, the
Yeah.
marriage, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Help each
Yeah.
other.
We have
Yeah.
so much fun. So it's a
Good,
blast.
good.
So authenticity and integrity. Let's talk about authenticity and integrity.
Yeah.
How does
Stay true to who you are. Stay true to who you are as best you possibly can.
yeah,
Anything that derailed me in life was not being true to who I am, the authentic self, and what really motivates me. And like you said, your integrity, your morals, your values. Even as a gymnast, I had coaches try to mold me into something that I wasn't, and we butted heads big time. And there's a whole story there too that I can share at another time. But
yeah,
that was one huge lesson I learned there is don't ever let anybody try to make you something that you're not, and stay true to who you are. And even though I was uh, an undisciplined, I lacked basics. I was a sloppy gymnast at that certain point in life. It was it was that it was that part of my character that made me do the fancy tricks and the risky tricks and the tricks that brought people to their feet when they saw it. That
yeah,
made me who I was. That's who I am. And so, yeah, I was missing a component, but I put it together at a certain point in time. But I never lost who I was, or I never lost my style or who I was at the core. But
yeah,
that served me also in life too.
yeah. Okay, one more question. We're going over a tiny bit, but we'll be okay. Um, let's talk about naysayers for a minute,
Yeah.
because when you have a big dream like that and somebody comes along, and I've heard we have 4 boys and they're 22, 24, 26, and 28 now, and
Mhm.
throughout their baseball careers and things like that, people have said, no, you can't, no, you're not good enough, you're
Right.
not.
Right.
And this
Yeah.
happens to us. um, what are your thoughts on naysayers other than maybe run in the other
Yeah.
direction?
Run, ignore, thank them, ignore. The worst thing you could do is pick up the rope, uh, in tug of war. If you don't pick up the rope, there's nothing for them to pull on. And I learned that later in life by a really cool Indian sage guy. And he said, just Mitch, don't pick up the rope. Whatever's on the other side, if it's not something that is in alignment with your focus, with what you want to do, just leave it alone. And there's too many negative people out there who do want to bring you down, and misery does love company. And if you're guided by your higher power or by your vision of where you want to go, don't let anybody mess with that. That's for
Yeah, 'cause
sure.
they get into your mindset if
Yeah,
you let
it
them.
can if you allow it, but you learn how to block that. You learn how to block that away. I mean, there's plenty of coaches who didn't think I had a chance in hell to make it to the levels I got to. Even
Yeah.
when I did make it, they were like bitter about it. I'm like, come on. I mean, you could hold resentment to those people, but it's better to just show them with your success that they were wrong.
Yeah.
But whatever motivates you, I think just to stay true to who you are, like we talked about,
Yep.
and focused on your dream or vision. Keep the negativity away as much as you can.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to end on that note. I just want to say, is there anything else? I don't want to end on a negative note, although it's a
Right.
positive note, but not I don't want to end on a
We'll
naysayer note.
flip it.
Yeah, we got to flip that. Can we
Yeah.
want to go out talking about gratitude?
Yeah. I love
Yeah,
that.
right?
So simple yet so powerful. Anytime I've ever felt lost, I actually learned this from Tony Robbins. Is you do those morning questions where you sit there and you think, and you write on a piece of paper what you're grateful for in your life. That is amazing how much that could change your entire state of mind and taking on the day with a positive attitude. We need to do that more often, is really focus in on what we do have rather than what we're lacking in life.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. It's been so much fun having you here. Thank you.
And it's great to talk to you as always.
My heart to yours, Valentina. Hi. Your kids.
All
Hi.
right. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for being in the book and just sharing your smile and joy and wisdom and love with all of us. So
Well, I wish you a huge success with this book. It's awesome. I'm happy to be part of it.